When I started microdosing, nausea was the side effect I used to deal with the most, and it was almost always because of something I ate. But after 5 months, I figured out what causes it, and now it's no longer an issue for me. So in this video, I'm going to cover what causes my nausea, share how I deal with it, and more importantly, how I prevent it. And hopefully by the end, you'll know how to avoid almost throwing up just as much as I did and continue on with your weight loss. By the way, I'm Nico, a nutrition coach, and I'm microdosing tirzepatide to help control my binge eating and to lose some weight. Alright, what causes nausea? It can be food related or dose related. Sometimes both, but it's easier to solve the problem by separating it. And technically, it can be seen as all food related, but that's complicating things. So how do I know if it's a dose problem or a food problem? We'll start with food because most of the time it's this. Generally speaking, microdosers don't get side effects too bad from the meds themselves because our dose is so low. Nausea is my personal worst side effect, but even then it's easy to manage. Okay, the first thing that causes it for me is overeating. I find being overly full, like full-on bloated type full, can give me nausea. This usually happens when I have a really heavy meal like a big burger with a side of fries. I also have to be careful of eating too many vegetables and drinking too much water or liquids because they also fill up my stomach really fast. Like if I finished a burger, fries, and had a Diet Coke, I'm most likely getting nausea. Also related to overeating is force feeding. When I first started microdosing, I would force myself to eat because my appetite was really low. This wasn't a bad thing because I didn't want to undereat, but because of the fact I had to force feed myself meant I was already full. Then, of course, I got nauseous. All right, next is greasy, fatty, and oily foods. Probably the most common way I get nausea and also what many other people experience as well. I don't necessarily avoid these foods. I just have to be careful and not go overboard with it. Like, let's say I'm eating fried chicken wings and I can maybe have like 3 or 4 before nausea kicks in. If I have like 5, then it's a problem. So I generally just eat less of these foods, but it depends on how you personally react to it. All right, timing. My nausea affects me the most probably around a day or 2 after my shot, but after that, nausea is not really an issue. Especially at day 5, a day before I take my shot, because I take my shot every 5 days, I can have greasy, oily food and even overeat like normal. The effects of the GLP-1 wear off pretty fast throughout the week. That's why I can do this. Okay, next is not eating enough. I didn't get this until after a few months I started, maybe around like month 3 of microdosing. I would wake up nauseous before eating anything, but then as soon as I had my morning protein drink or crackers, I was fine. Sometimes I would get nauseous later in the day too if I haven't eaten anything in a while, so yeah, I solved it by just making sure I don't go too long without eating or drinking something with calories. Okay, dehydration. This has an asterisk because I have not gotten nausea from this personally and I don't know what it feels like, but I heard it's a problem for some people. I did deal with dehydration the first few weeks taking GLP-1 because not only was my appetite lowered, but my thirst was lower too. I still deal with this, but I fixed it by having water near me at all times, so if I see it, I'm more inclined to drink it. And I like to add electrolyte supplements to my water to help with hydration as well as taste because plain water and having a low appetite just makes me drink less. All right, let's move on to dose-related nausea. So again, generally speaking, microdosers feel less nausea because we take less meds, so we get less side effects. So dose is rarely the issue. But there are some people with a really, really low dose who do still get really bad side effects, but that's just because they respond really well to the meds. That's at least what I've seen. I haven't dealt with it. Now, if nausea is a problem and it's not food-related, then it's probably because your dose might be too high. If it is, then finding the right dose can solve it. From my experience, the nausea is also short-lived because the meds were off by the end of the week. I've never had to lower my dose for side effect reasons because, again, having too high of a dose for microdosers is kind of rare. But here's what I would do if I had to lower my dose. I'd lower it by the lowest amount I could and see if nausea is no longer an issue and I still see that I'm getting the things I want from my GLP-1. Things like reduced hunger, getting full faster, and staying full longer. And as soon as I lowered it enough and I don't have nausea anymore and I get what I want from my dose, then I can assume I'm on the right track to finding the right dose for me. And when it comes to finding the right dose, we have to find the balance of getting the benefits we want from the meds while reducing the chance of nausea. So less GLP-1 equals more hunger but less nausea, while more GLP-1 equals less hunger plus more potential nausea. And by the way, none of this is guaranteed. The issue with talking about dose is everyone responds differently and there's a lot of trial and error. You just have to find the right dose for you. If you think your dose is a problem, please speak to your doctor or healthcare provider and see if they can adjust your dose or frequency. Frequency as in how often you take your shot. Okay, how I deal with nausea. So first, if I have it, I just wait it out. It usually passes, and this is my go-to way. Next is sitting, lying down, or walking a bit, the whole spectrum. Lying down works best for me if it's really bad, and walking a bit if nausea is not too bad, but I still feel it. For sitting, I rarely sit when I'm nauseous, but some people might feel worse when lying down or moving around, so this is an option. If nausea is really bad, you can ask your doctor, and they can usually prescribe a nausea medication. And the last way I sort of deal with nausea is taking my dose at night. So I actually don't remember what it's like like for the dose to hit me during the day. My first 4 doses were taken in the morning, but the other 26 were at night. I like to take my dose at night because I get headaches, which is my other side effect. So if I sleep, I don't have to deal with it, but I do deal with stomach cramps. I think it's just the meds kicking in and slowing down my digestion, which is just part of what they do. But yeah, if nausea is bad after you take the shot, try taking it at night before you sleep because it might help. You're literally just sleeping your problems away. All right, now the best way to deal with nausea is just to avoid it altogether. First is wine taste foods, especially new foods. I've never literally wine tasted, but I imagine what they do is just take little sips of it, and we can do the same with food and see if nausea kicks in. For example, let's say you want to try a bacon burger with Gouda cheese and a special secret sauce. We don't know what's in the sauce because it's a secret, so it's kind of risky to eat because it might trigger nausea. So what I would do is wine taste it. I would take a little bite and wait to see if I feel nauseous. And then after a few moments, I take another bite and wait. And I keep doing this until I feel confident I won't get nausea. You'll be eating a lot slower, but I personally think it's better than feeling nauseous and wanting to throw up. All right, bland foods or the brat diet, which is bananas, rice, applesauce, and toast. These are just less fatty, really simple foods. You can use any bland foods. I like having crackers, for example. Bland in this case is not necessarily flavor, but more so less fatty. And the next point is foods that already sit well with your stomach. I have foods like chicken, fruit, steak, protein shakes, salads, and crackers that I know if I eat it, I won't get nausea. Now, if I eat too much, I might get it, but for the most part, these are my safe foods. All right, next is if you're full, then stop eating. This is more so me telling myself this because I have a bad habit of finishing my plate. It's gotten much better because I recognize when I'm full, but I can still have this problem. For example, I like to have a protein shake when I wake up. It's my morning routine, like how people have their morning coffee. I always used to finish it, so I have that habit, but now if I finish it, even though I'm satisfied, I'll get nauseous. All right, last is smaller, more frequent meals and portions. Big, heavy meals give me nausea, so I like to split it up. It's the same amount of calories and food, it's just spread out throughout the day. I also find this helps with hunger fluctuations because I'm constantly eating something. So I'll have anywhere between like 4 to 6 meals per day with snacks included. All right, that's the video. If you want to see how I'm microdosing for fat loss, check the link below. Hope this helped with your nausea issues. Thanks for watching. Bye.